part of it is like, there are a billion quotes about pets out there, like a billion, literally. And yet you have 2 there. Is there any particular reason why you chose those 2 quotes?
Oh my goodness. They really spoke to me, and I think they are the heart of the book as well. So I thought it was just a really good fit.
Yeah, and I don't want to tell you, you have to read the book. You have to open the book to do it. It'll come out very shortly. I believe 18th, right? The 18th it's out?
October 18th, yes.
October 18th it's out.
Yep.
So just remember that. But the quotes hit you too. Everything hit me in this book.
Oh,
okay, so in the book, like there's a bunch of pets in there, right? And then I'm looking at your viewpoint about that, where you use comments like live in the moment, Cosmo, you say he always goes in, pets always go in with the best possible attitude. Part of it we talk about in the vet world is the pets don't really know they have cancer, right? It's not like you sit there and tell them they have cancer. And so their whole approach towards this is different. And so what sort of experiences did you have with these pets, especially since you're dealing with cancer on your own end, right? And you're dealing with these pets, because the whole book just, I love, it's almost like you could do a transition element in a video format, because it probably made into a movie, I'm telling you. And then, right, you talk about the pet, right? So it's interaction with the pet with cancer, and then you transition over to your own personal experiences. So what did you get out of these pets, especially feeling what you're feeling at that time?
Oh my goodness. Loaded question. So I think I'm going to answer it backwards, if you don't mind. Once I fully came back, because I had to take a leave of absence for a period, it was so wonderful to be back, because I loved it, right? I didn't complain anymore that I was exhausted, or my long day, or whatever, or you didn't get lunch again, right? Because you're just too busy. I cherished it. Sort of like COVID has made everyone appreciative of, so many things that maybe we took for granted. But on some level, it was also a little bit hard, right? Talking about maybe to a new family, a chemotherapy drug that I had. So I had my own flashbacks or feelings, and yet trying to still be professional and get the information across was emotionally trying and challenging. There's the one place in the book where I'm seeing a little dog back for suture removal after being spayed. And thankfully the dog, didn't have cancer. Everything was benign, all good. The woman and her dog left, and I looked down, and literally my hand is resting atop my abdomen where my scar, my incision was. And I didn't even realize that, right? So it's those sort of unconscious things that become apparent. In terms of, my dogs as patient and me as patient, part of it is just their genetic makeup, right? They don't lose their hair like we do. That's just a whole different thing. But I think what they teach us, or what they mirrored for me, was so much more valuable than the genetic aspect. They didn't have those what ifs going in. Will I get sick? Will the other dogs think badly of me if I've lost my hair? What am I going to tell my friends and family? And I realized that we all we worry, right, and fret, I think, in a way of trying to control things that are uncontrollable, but it only serves to bring us down, and it just creates that negative energy. It exhausts us before we even walk through that front door to see that doctor or whatever struggle we're going with. And then once you're done, we leave and we say, I can't believe it took the nurse 2 tries to get, the catheter in me. Dogs don't do that. They're like, I'm done. Where's the biscuit? Let's just go and enjoy getting to be. And I think that is such a huge, huge help.
Renee, that is awesome. That is awesome. Yeah, that's a great, I knew I threw you on the spot there, but that was a great answer. That was great. Phenomenal. And it's interesting because you meet some characters. Well, I met some characters in the book, and these are real people, right?
Those are real people. Yes. Yeah.
I love is it Sasha's dad who's used to getting his own way because he has his own way. How did you feel after you found out because you stood up to him before you knew what he was, right?
Yes. Oh, we went toe to toe. It was, and we just stared at each other. Only I wasn't giving up. Had I known more about him, and like that I learned at the end, I probably would have been, a little softer. But
nobody needed that. I think you did a great job, and I think it's funny because I think he totally respects you now.
Yes.
And then you have lifelong protection, right?
Exactly. Correct. Mike cannot step out of line. So.
Oh my God. I love that. I was cracking up at that. See, that's one of the funniest moments of the book. Yes. And then let's switch gears a little. So Bentley's dad, right? So you get this curt individual. So part of it, and we can get into that, is you are dealing with 90% human emotion here. As a veterinary oncologist, let me clarify. As a veterinary oncologist, you're dealing with 90% human emotion. The humans are tied up in this, and the dogs are just, as you said, the dogs are just like, hey, I'm in the moment. What, give me that treat. Oh, I have to sit here for a bit. Okay, I'm done. Bye. See you next week or whatever. And like 10% of actually dealing with that dog issue. Your training has enabled you to I love the fact you go, I'm aspirating this. Okay, boom, 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 boom. Oh, I felt this, and this is this. So you're an expert at lymph node palpation and aspiration. Absolutely. And then I love the, was it CDI? I'm going to start using that. Clean, dry, and intact. That's a new little three-letter thing I'm going to start using. I thought that was great. But you're dealing with that. Your expertise enables you to deal with the problem because you've seen it before, you're experienced, you've got this thing, but these people and dealing with this aspect. And so, it was, how did you feel about Bentley's dad's situation? How did you have to break a barrier down, right? Because that's the other time I knew you were a hugger, because you guys sat beside him and talked to them. And I think that's, for me, it solidifies you are the right person for your career choice. I can't stress that enough. But how did you feel about situations like that? Or how would you advise, actually, let's take it this way. How would you advise a young oncologist, right? Because vet school doesn't prepare us for this, right? Right. It doesn't prepare us for this. So what advice would you give to a young veterinary oncologist? One of my students is actually finishing her residency at AMC, by the way. So she's gonna come to church. I'll put you in touch with her after the show. But what advice would you give her name's Danielle, to deal with situations like this?
Don't sit across from them. Sit next to them, literally and figuratively, right? Because you're on the same side, you're in this together. They need to know that you have their back and their dog's back, because you do, right? But sometimes people get caught up too much in, I don't know, the white coat, which I always wore a white coat because I wore my dress, so I needed pockets and things. We get a little bit too caught up in being stoic or professional. And I think one of the differences, which I realize we might touch on later, between human medicine and veterinary medicine, is we treat that entire family dynamic, right? Yeah. There's so many things that go into that decision. And one of the life lessons I've learned, hopefully is seen in the book, is that dogs meet us where we're at, right? We don't have to put on any front. We as veterinarians need to meet that pet parent where they're at. And it might be, we need to talk about finances, because that could be a thing. We need to talk just about their preconceived ideas on what it is to treat a diabetic or a cancer patient or a heart, condition patient. We need to know about their risk tolerance, about their ability to come back and forth. But then there's always the backstory. And I realized that is the one thing that drives me and continues to fill me back up, even though sometimes that backstory is really, really sad. There was this one gentleman who used to come. He's not in the book because there are so many others that could have been in the book.
Oh
but
yeah,
you know,
yeah.
the book can only be so long. And he would always bring his little Shih Tzu, and the dog had lymphoma. The dog did great for about 1.5 years, and then unfortunately we lost, the battle. But whenever he would come, he would just hand us the dog. He would stay seated in the waiting room, wouldn't really look at us in the face. I would ask him questions. I'd get very short, kind of soft answers. At first I just maybe thought he was shy, but everyone's demeanor is different, and it's fine. His dog did well. And about 3 to 4 weeks after that dog had passed, I get in the mail at work a big manila envelope and a handwritten note, a couple of pages, and photographs. And he finally opened up. I might get a little teary. This was his daughter's dog, and she had recently passed. She was only 23.
Oh.
And so he wanted to do everything possible for that dog. And it turns out the family didn't really have the money to pay for all the treatments. And here's for all your listeners, if you're struggling, tell your veterinarian, right? We all are softies, and we will really, really try to do whatever we can to financially make it work. But at any rate, he didn't share that, but instead he took the midnight shift at the local grocery store, and his job was to cut the cold cuts to be prepackaged the next day so that he could pay. And I'm like, oh my goodness. And I think ultimately he felt good. The family felt good about their decision, and they believed that now his daughter and her little Shih Tzu were reunited. But it's just,
Oh man, see, that's cry number 7 for me. No, that's an excellent story, and we don't know the battles they're facing. They come in,
correct.
And we tend to be. I think we as veterinarians, because we tend to be at some point a little bit of the brunt of their emotions, right? And I find that they can do this, but I look at it as we create an open environment that allows them to actually express that. And